This is Barbara in Little Rock, and I want you to enjoy children's author Barbara Winningham. She's here with us today, and I know you will fall in love with her. Enjoy. I'm glad you took time with me today.
All right.
And
It's my lunch hour.
Well, I'm glad it's lunch hour for you, and it works out for me too. And I am so excited to get to talk to you because did you think when you were a little girl you were going to be an author?
No, actually, I began to have my children. I was married and started having my children, and I thought about writing children's books, but I was too busy because my first child was born with spina bifida, so that took up a lot of time. And then he passed at 12 years of age. And then I had 3 other children, so it just kept me busy raising them and sending them to school and, putting good ideas in your children's heads. And so then when my little boy passed, I decided to be a hairdresser, and so I went to beauty school. I thought I could do that. And one lady, the very first book that I wrote, one lady came in and she said, "Barbara, do you have any leftovers?" I said, "What in the heck do you need leftovers for?" And she said, "Well, we have these turtles that my mother-in-law," and this lady's in her 70s or 80s, so it was her mother-in-law who's passed. These turtles kept getting in the garden and eating the fruit, and so she put them around this broken down silo. I went out and looked at this silo. It's a broken down silo, and those turtles lived in there for 50 years. And so, what children learn in that book is about hibernation. Those turtles go into hibernation in the winter, but in the summer they come out. And so Grandma Hauser, number 1, and Grandma Hauser, number 2, had to feed them leftovers. So that's how that book was inspired. That's the very first book that I wrote, The Turtle Pit. So,
Oh my, how did you get say, I'm going to do it?
it just kept rattling around in my head, and so I thought, I'm going to get these ideas out on paper, and then it became a story. Went ahead and wrote the stories, and then I got an illustrator, and I was a little green on that. I had to learn a few lessons on illustrators. The work for hire works a whole lot better. You just get them to sign a contract that you own the book, so that saves a lot of detailing. But the Turtle Pit actually has 2 sets of pictures. It's the same story, but 2 sets of pictures. And the first book was, just one day I saw it was $1,200 on Amazon because it cannot be published anymore in those illustrations.
Wow.
So that was pretty cool. I looked at that, I was like, wow.
Your book was worth $1,200.
Yes, and I was on a cruise in the middle of the ocean when that book, the publisher sent me an email, said, "It's ready to publish today." And I was like, and I had to confirm, yes, go ahead and publish it. Right in the middle of the ocean on the cruise. So that's been an exciting book. And then my second book was My Kitty Dog. And it's about adoption. And I had one lady when I first came here to Little Rock, and she said to me, I was talking about my books because I was all excited. She said, "Well, what's the purpose of your books?" And she was a very dignified lady, well put together and dressed. And I said, "Well, I really don't know. I just like to write." And I had these ideas in my head, and I just started writing. But then as the years went by, and I started realizing that the books have a lesson to be learned. Like in The Turtle Pit, it's hibernation, And in My Kitty Dog, it's about adoption. It's a kitty who comes to the porch and the owners give her milk, and all of a sudden they own a kitty cat. Or have a kitty cat. Miss Mooch.
Miss Mooch.
Miss Mooch.
Don't you have a kitty named Miss Mooch?
Yes, I have a Mr. Moochie now. I thought he was a Miss Moochie, but he's a Mr. Moochie. And I'll probably write a story about him someday. But this one is about adoption. And so in each book, there is a lesson for the children to learn. Now, Chatter's Nut House, I love that one. My sister is an executive director, and she's Auntie Ant. And when she saw the picture, she goes, "Well, I got a big butt." And I'm like, "Well, ants do have big butts, But anyway, it's an adorable story. Auntie Ant has a problem with Earthy Earthworm, Rosy Rosebush, and Grumpy Grubworm, and Chatter's that silly squirrel. He's the problem. Because all of them have their homes in the ground. And so Chatters, when he collects the nuts, the acorns, guess what he does? He digs a hole in the ground, and then he tears up their houses. And so Auntie Ant is like in charge, executive director, and she gets all of them together, and they all decide that they're going to solve the problem. So it's problem solving in this book. At the end of the book,
As
the
a
problem.
team, I understand too.
Yes, as a team. Yes. And I love how the illustrator took my story, and it makes your story come to life with the illustrations. And she took Rosie Rosebush and put a face on the rose.
Oh.
And in that book, I saw that, and it just warmed my heart. How they could take my story and make it come to life. So the illustrators play a big role too. Now my Arkansas story is The Shadow Chaser. And I was invited to a cabin in Mountain View, and he had a dog named Sam. And Sam chased his tail, and he would chase his shadows. So that book, the children learned, it took me 7 months to write, and it took the illustrator 2 years to illustrate. And he kept saying, well, when's it going to be ready? I said, as soon as the illustrator gets all the pictures done. And of course, I have an editor. They're very special to me, my editors, because I had an English teacher tell me when I first started writing that, oh, Barbara, you write just like you talk. So I had to have an illustrator, or an editor. But I have a wonderful editor, I have 3 illustrators that have helped me out, and then the company, I have the Ex Libris and Author House. And of course, the first book was accepted the old-fashioned way. Every author wants her book accepted. And then the other books are Author House and Ex Libris, which are self-publishing companies. And so I had a lady in my salon in Missouri, and she came to me and she gave me this article. And she's 90-some years old at the time. A political science teacher. She's taught out on the East Coast of Virginia and all. She came to me and she said, Barbara, she said, this lady kept getting rejected. And she went self-publishing, and she's worth over $1 million. And I can't tell you right now how much she's worth, really, and how many books has been published. So she encouraged me to go ahead and do it the new way, self-publishing. And my books are successful. They're very successful books. Children learn a lot. The illustrations are colorful. They're adorable. But Shadow Chaser, they learn about a scientific, what creates a shadow.
Oh, wow, that is interesting.
Yeah.
I may have to read that again.
Oh, I love, some people ask me, they go, what's your favorite book? I go, I don't know. I love them all. I love them all.
Like your children.
Yes. Now, a little tiny small soft house. I thought I had that here. I guess I have.
Well, you tell them to look it up, by God.
Yeah, you can look them all up on Amazon, eBay, Walmart.com sells my books. They're everywhere. They're all over the world. My books went to California. They went to England. They've been to China. I have family in China. They're in China. My books are everywhere. They're in classroom. Matter of fact, I had a book signing on the Turtle Pit in New York City in 2013, February 2013. And I was on my way back. I was in Kansas City, and I didn't know it, but I was on an airplane full of teachers.
Oh my gosh,
I mean, teachers. And they came up to me and they said, what were you doing in New York City? And I said, I'm a children's author, and I had an opportunity to do a book signing at the Javits Convention Center. And I love New York City. I absolutely love New York City. And I got to ride a taxi cab. And I did not know it, but my mother took me home from the hospital as a newborn in a taxi cab. But I thought when I was in New York City, that was my first taxi cab ride, but my mom said no. I didn't go on a taxi cab. But anyway, in Omaha, Nebraska, which is a big city. Omaha's big. Yeah. But as far as my stories go, the little tiny small house is written in, it's kind of hard, but it's like my mother is the main character, but I'm putting it in my eyes as I saw it through a child. And my mother goes, Mom, she goes, Barbara, you got the wrong girl in this, It's really cute because she realized right off the bat that she wasn't the little girl. She was the daughter, actually, but I'm the granddaughter. So I put it through the eyes of a child. And in that book, it's about infrastructure. Because what if, just think about this, what if our society, we couldn't flush a toilet anymore? What if something happened, And in this book, Stinky John, I just left the original Stinky John because that's what we call it. I'm going to the John.
You got to get the book to read that.
Yeah, I'm going to the John. And then, what if the children didn't have the running water to turn the bathtub on? So it's got Sudsy Susie in it. It's got Old Hot George that warms your house. It's got Joey the water bucket that carries the water. It's got Pete the water dipper, which, you know, back when I was a little girl, we could all drink out of the dipper. But, oh no, not now. The children wouldn't think about drinking out of the same glass, which is a good idea, really. But they're just my childhood experiences. And then the new book is, I don't have it here with me, but it's Mr. Jelly and Popcorn Saves the Day. That one is about mushroom hunting, but you would never know it from the title. Because when I was raised in Kansas City, Missouri, and my step-grandpa died, and we ended up on the family farm, and I was like, no WHB radio here, no roller skating rink here. My mom would take us every Saturday to the roller skating rink back when you could just drop your kids off, you know. We'd skate our hearts out all day long. And then, I don't know, we got down to the country and there wasn't none of that there, so I learned how to mushroom hunt, and fish, and milk cows, and slop hogs, and pick up eggs, and see lots of snakes. So that's where my books have come from, inside my heart, and I realize that that's a gift from God, to be inspired, because I was like, I couldn't have done it. It came from God. And then I will tell you that when my kitty dog was in the mail, my husband handed it to me, and when I opened that box, it was the same feeling as when I gave birth to my first, second, third, and fourth child. Anything that you create, you know, with God's help, you create, you birthed it. So when they said, I always heard that, but I never really gave it any thought, you birthed a book. You really do birth the book. It came from you. It came from way down deep inside. A gift from God. That's a gift. We all have gifts. Some people can play music, you know, and some people can sing. Some people can preach. Some people can love other people. That's a gift. To love other people is a gift. And the book writing is a gift. It's a gift from God.
I so appreciate you being here today.
Oh, I love it. Thank you.
I am touched. I really am. And the viewers will be touched too. I want to ask one question.
Okay.
How many books have you written?
Well, 8 are published. Number 9 is on the galley right now, waiting for the illustrator. She had a death in her family, so she's kind of in a little fog right now. But she is working on the illustrations. But it's got the new story in it, which is Grandpa Says No, F-U-N. No fun. And if you know my husband, he's quite the guy. And the grandchildren on a trip down here to Arkansas helped me write that, because you know how children are. They're grown now, but then they were little. And so I handed the oldest one the pencil and the pad, and then I was driving, and the two were in the back seat. And I think they were like 11, 9, and 7, 6, something like that. And they all interjected into that story. So that's the new one that's sitting on the galley right now that will be with all of the other books. So it's going to be a storybook. It has all the stories in it. And it's not out yet.
All the stories?
All the stories.
Shadow Chasing?
All of them will be in all together.
One collection.
Yes.
One book.
Yeah, that's the new book.
What a Christmas present.
So that's 9 books all together.
I hope they come out before Christmas.
Well, if the illustrator, you know, because she's going through a fog, she lost her father. But she's such a sweet illustrator. I met her at the dentist office down here one day, and she goes, "Oh, I illustrate." I said, "You do?" And so, you know, so I have 3 illustrators, and they're all great people. I had 2 editors. My son has an English degree, and he edited the first couple, I believe. And then Eddie Musgrove is a retired superintendent / principal / whatever in education, and he has edited 3 or 4 of them. So I love my editors, I love my illustrators, and I just love the people that God allows in my life.
Anything you would like to say to the folks out there?
I always say if I could get one opportunity on like Fox News or Good Morning America or something. And you know, I started writing because there's a lot of unhappiness in the world. And when children can pick up a book, they find a happy place. And that's actually one of the biggest reasons I started writing. Children find a happy place.
I'm so glad you're here today.